this is dying. It's a realization of, oh, I've been here before. And we all return back to that place, whatever you want to call it, whether it's heaven or the universe or matter and energy. You could have an army trying to hold me down and it wouldn't have mattered. I would have gone and continued on, which would have been death. I had to find reasons to keep wanting to fight. To be with my family and see my brother have his first child, to be in love again, to be happy and to live a happy life.
Travis, stay with me. You ready for hair? He's breathing.
My name is Travis Flores, and I was born with cystic fibrosis. I've had 2 double lung transplants in the last 3 years, and what I want everyone to know is that they should embrace their scars, because sometimes the best medicine in life is to live your truth. Hey, Mom.
I'm here.
Hi. How are you?
Oh my God, you remember this one? I drove a whole car full of your crazy friends up to the hospital.
On their engagement photo.
Yeah.
Justin and Chelsea.
They're such a perfect couple. They
I
really
know,
are.
and now I'm gonna be an uncle.
When I first saw him, he looked confused. And then once he started crying and they felt comfortable, then they gave him to me. And I was able to hold him for about 5 minutes, and it was just, there's just nothing like it. 3.5, 4 months old, yeah, I found out that he had a genetically inherited disease.
I don't know how you've done it for all these years, Terry. I will never forget when you first had Travis and they almost arrested you for malnutrition because he was so skinny.
I've got social workers coming to the apartment wanting to investigate me. And then that next day they call and say, oh, by the way, over the phone, your son has cystic fibrosis, you need to go see the pediatrician right away.
Everyone says that you can walk outside and get hit by a bus, right? Like anything could happen. But for me, it was on paper. You could open up a book and a dictionary and read cystic fibrosis, a terminal disease.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetically inherited disease, and it creates a sticky mucus that blocks up the lungs. And before long, the stickiness of the mucus in your lungs starts to form and harden, and you end up needing a double lung transplant. And most children don't make it to 5 years old. We had 3 children that needed us, and one that was special needs, so we agreed that we all were gonna battle and we were gonna fight this.
He was probably one of the toughest kids I knew. Being at the hospital from a young age with him, it made me more aware, and it made me appreciate the time I had with him.
He's always kind of had this roller coaster of health. You know, we really had to enjoy the time we had because we didn't know how much time we had with him.
So when I was 8 years old, I was being hospitalized for the first time and meeting patients that had different conditions, things that could potentially take their lives within months. And I understood that this could be what my future is.
Then he was writing poetry as we were driving back and forth from Cincinnati. It's a 4-hour drive to the hospital. He had all this time and he started just writing.
So my solution was to somehow take something I was terrified of, what scares me the most, that I could turn into a positive, because it's what my mom's always telling me to do. And I went, oh, a spider. One hot summer day, there lived a spider named Sparky. Sparky wasn't an ordinary spider. He did not know how to spin a web.
What's the matter, honey? Asked Sparky's mother curiously. Well, you see, I can't spin a web. And this is the joke that he wrote at the hospital: stir fly instead of stir fry. And he just thought that was the funniest thing at 7 years old, you know?
It became this almost game to me to achieve more than most people do in their entire life in the lifetime that I was given.
Go all the way, don't stop, and whatever you do, never ever give up on what you want to do or on your dreams.
So when I wanted to go on a 3-year book tour, they managed to make that happen.
And we'd arranged to have him motivational speak at the schools. Everybody loved it.
He let me come along with him on every book tour and be his security guard.
And before I knew it, it was really affecting people on a worldwide basis. I was given a prognosis of a certain age. This is how long you have. This is the cap. No, don't want to hear that. I plan to be the longest living cystic fibrosis patient. Imagine waking up and you take a breath, but that breath doesn't feel like a full breath. So you take another breath, and all of a sudden you're like breathing what feels like water. So you cough naturally to get that out. And when you cough, it's blood. That was the defining moment of cystic fibrosis. And the only way out of that was to be transplanted. Yeah, I hid this from myself until today. I went and I dug through tons of boxes for you guys to find this, and I'm glad I did. After my first transplant, I really wanted to acknowledge my donor somehow. And I haven't worn it since because my first transplant, it didn't work. And now if they were to reach out to me, to meet me, I would have to tell them that I don't have their loved one's gift anymore.
You know, the first set of lungs went into rejection. It really impressed upon me that with Travis, I can't control if he lives or dies.
Most of the time, he has such a positive outlook on life. And, you know, Travis is still fighting for his life. And having that idea that it may never change was a hard thing to face.
You know, people talk about men having strength and all of, you know, it's crap. Masculinity doesn't come from the muscle on your body. It comes from the heart. It comes from the mind. It comes from the soul. Like, you have to have the courage to look at these things and look at the chest tube that they're about to put into you, and you have to take it and you have to embrace it and you have to go with it. And then you have to put that mask on and lay on that table. And when they're saying they're about to put the anesthesia in for you to go into your transplant, you have to be able to say, okay, here we go. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna wake up. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna wake up. That's strength. That's masculinity. That's power. And it takes a hell of a lot more courage to do that than it does to lift a weight. I can tell you that.
Trouble connecting. I'll keep trying.
I'm not having problems connecting. Flex is weird. You know, I went home in July of 2017. And now my pulmonary function is at like 14%. It's like suffocating.
It was getting to a point where he may have to be chronically hospitalized again until his next transplant.
And then September 1st, I was hospitalized because my lungs had collapsed.
And he was losing lung function. He was on oxygen and
Kind of went into this paralysis of not having any strength to move, not wanting to move.
My aunt gets me on FaceTime. The nurses were asking for my permission to intubate him because I was his medical power of attorney.
I remember one of the last things I said before everything happened. I said, "Mom, I'm dying." And then I went into like this comatose state. I felt this pull. I saw all the people that I loved in my life my brothers having children. I saw my parents becoming grandparents, and I was angry. But then I pulled again. I was higher that time. And all of those feelings didn't exist. And then I pulled again. And all of a sudden, time doesn't exist, it's irrelevant. Places don't exist, you're everywhere all at once. I realized that I was going to see my family again. I came back to my physical self and I became conscious again. And I started fighting again. And I had to literally tell my mom to hold my body down. And I was clenching the sheets because I was afraid that I was going to be pulled up again.
We immediately transferred him to ICU. He was stable enough to move. 12 hours later, the doctor calls and says we have a set of lungs.
The person that my lungs came from was a middle-aged man. When someone is passing away and they're not an organ donor, they still come to you if the organs are healthy, and they'll still ask you if you as a family would like to make this gift. And from what I understand, that's what happened. It was the family's decision. This is why I'm here, to do this and to share this story with people. And I believe that's why I kept fighting. There was a reason.
I know we talked about it a little bit when he was going in for his last transplant. How are you prepping for the day? I can't even.
I've been prepping. I've been prepping since he was diagnosed. When he passes away, I'm going to miss him tremendously. But I also know he doesn't have to battle anymore. He doesn't have to constantly be in the hospital.
You're talking about him. I'm talking about you. I can't even. How are you going to feel losing a son?
I'm not going to even go there till I have to.
No matter what you do, it's not curable. And it was hard at first to get into the mode of, I'm healthy. I got to embrace that and I have to live. But what happened is when you've been through what I've been through, there's a gift that comes with being in love and being with someone. You realize that body and gender and race, it doesn't matter. Because despite everything that I have been through and all my scars and all my bandages and wounds and baggage, if they can look at me and say, I love you and I want to be with you, who the hell am I to say, sorry, you're a man or a girl, or it just doesn't make sense to me. So I just opened myself up to love. Just love is love, you know? I allowed myself to be free. You know, I'm dating a guy now, so. By the way, I'm like sweating from saying that.
Are you? What's more?
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever said on camera that I'm gay. So that was a big moment.
I don't know. Terry, you want to get the juice out?
Yes.
For me, the most unfair part about this whole situation is falling in love again. I'm in love and I don't want it to end and I don't want him to be heartbroken. I want to have kids and I want to have a future and a career and share these things with someone. And there's this thing in my future that might prevent it all. And that freaking sucks. I don't want to have
There's
these
your
things.
answer. How do I deal with it? It sucks.
I mean, maybe that is what it is.
And I guess you have to. I mean, I shouldn't be giggling, but
That's
you
true.
have to giggle.
In the future, God forbid, I'm not here. This is what I want you to remember. It sucks. My tombstone will read that.
Let's go sit and eat.
Sometimes when I think about our family, I'm like, we have the worst luck, but we have the best luck. We have the worst luck because we go through terrible things, but we get through
them because we have each other.
Yeah, it's like we have the best luck because we have the best family.
Yeah, no, we had a really rough upbringing with 10 brothers and sisters. Do you know how much Grandpa made? $30,000 at his height. Can you imagine?
I didn't even realize that was what it was.
Yeah.
Because I felt like we always had what we needed.
Because we had each other.
And that's called debt.
No.
I wanted to go visit Grandpa and Grandma's grave because I know you haven't done that in a long time.
She hasn't been in a long time.
I haven't been in years.
I know. But as a family, I really want to go and be together. I didn't really get the chance to know Grandpa.
He loved his grandkids.
He loved his family.
Don't mind me while I put my smiley faces on the grave. And
Yeah, what's that all about?
every time he'd send a letter or birthday cards or anything to us, he'd put the little smiley face stickers on them.
I see, the dates, like 1927 to 1997 and 1930 to 2005. And it's like, that's a lot of time, but it's not. It does bring that reality. We're all gonna be in this position. Whatever the dates are between the little hash thingy there, for me, it doesn't matter anymore because I just feel so grateful for what I have achieved and what I'll continue to do. And it's because of people like you in my life. I have kind of reached a point of comfort. I wouldn't say acceptance, but comfort.
I don't want you here before I get here.
No.
Okay?
I don't want to come visit your grave.
No.
Well, I'm being cremated, so you wouldn't have to. I know what you mean. I know. It's like forever in our hearts is like the perfect thing. I don't feel that I've put on a mask for people at this point. I want people to know that I'm happy. I want people to know that when you want something bad enough, strength, hope, love, you'll find it. I put it out into the universe and it came back to me.